I see by your transcript that you're a remarkably gifted student. First in your family ever to attend college. Scholarship from your temple. But under religious preference, I see you didn't write Jewish, though you are of Jewish extraction. I'm wondering why that is.
I don't prefer to practice one religion over another.
How you and Rodrigo met each other and how this partnership began to bring the book to the silver screen.
You know, I've known Rodrigo for many years, and I've watched what he and his team at RT Films here in Brazil have been doing in world cinema, right? So over the years, I've watched a lot of great movies that he produced. So when I got fired from my job running a movie studio and was out on my own and started to work with my friend Anthony Bregman, who I also worked with many years, Rodrigo was really one of the first people we went to see if he wanted to join forces to make Indignation. It was a project that I had nurtured for a number of years, but had never really had the time to figure out how to get going. And when I finally was out and ready to direct my first film, I did not want to be the main producer shouldering all that other work. Because it's really, now that I've been director, my first film, let me just tell you, it's very nice to have somebody else do all that work.
We met already 7 years, but I went to Focus office in New York to show the projects I have at the time and to see if we could make something together. One day my agent would say, call me Rodrigo, I think I find something for you. You know Philip Roth? Yes, I know Philip Roth. You like Philip Roth? Definitely. Okay, which Philip Roth you are offering me? Indignation. Indignation I don't read, but I like to read it, but please send me. Who wrote the screenplay? James Schamus, please send to me. And who will direct? James Schamus, please send to me. And when I arrive, I look, first page, and Lorenzo, please, today I'm traveling. You read today, and I'm gonna read on Monday, but we're gonna make the film. Who is producing? Anthony Bregman. He's a friend, let's make the deal. It's something like that.
It was so fast.
And beside the wonderful directing and the amazing photography, something that I love so much was the dialogue. I didn't read the book, but I want to know how much do you create inspired by the book and how much the dialogue is exactly like the book?
You know, I stole the best stuff in the book. So the best dialogue in the movie, I can say, I'm not being humble, is just stolen from Philip Roth. That said, it was hard because the book only alludes to many of the scenes that we actually have in the film. So I had to create dialogue that was in the same zone as Philip Roth's, and that was fun. I had a great time doing it. There's many scenes that are created completely, 100% are imagined, and the dialogue is completely made up in the screenwriting process. The hardest thing to do was to take Philip Roth's dialogue and key scenes and have to shape it or edit it or write one or two sentences in between things, because in the movie you have to shape it. And that was very tough, weirdly enough. So it's very easy for me to write completely original dialogue for scenes, and it was terrifying to write even just changing a comma or a thing in scenes where I was stealing from him.
And the best scene for me is the one, the Marcus talking with the director.
Oh yeah. And that's crazy. That is really just a transcription from the book, except we had, and it's exactly what I was talking about. The editing and the molding and the shaping were very painful. And that was tough. That was really, really tough. But most of that is the genius of Philip Roth.
Of course.
What were the criteria to lead you to choose Logan Lerman to portray Marcus?
Oh, well, we love Logan Lerman. A few things. I needed a partner for this movie because we didn't have a lot of money, but thank you for what you guys found. Enough, don't worry. But we had to move very quickly. We had no trailers on the set where the cast could go escape, and so I needed a grown-up. I needed somebody who was really an old soul and very mature. But I needed a very young man who was innocent. And what I love about Logan is that he maintains both a deep intelligence, but a total innocence, which if you look around at young people these days is not easy to find. And he's a genuinely warm and giving and kind person. So he is really what he seems like.
Yes.
Very strange, but really true. So he really was a partner. He was in every scene. He was on the set all day, every day. It was a brutal shoot in many ways. And he spent 6 months preparing for this role.
6 months? Oh, he's a very good actor. I love him.
And he's a nice Jewish boy.
Yeah?
Yes, yes.
And could you both talk a little bit about the amazing production designed by Inbal Winberg? She's a friend of mine.
Oh, really? Oh, well, we gotta have a drink. She's, Inbal shares with me a passion for research. That the longer and harder you dig into the minutest detail, the stronger you feel when you come out the other side with a vision. So her research and mine were really dovetailed, and we worked so well together because she's just so anally retentive the way I am. We really just felt it. But at a certain moment, she's very bold. She really makes a decision. And so we were able to work together over weeks and weeks of pre-production to make very strong decisions about what the color in particular pattern of the film would be. So there's a narrative to the film that's related to color. And Inbal I created what I called Team Color, because we were using digital camera, like you have here. So you know with this camera, for example, that reds in particular can get quite hot. You know, they can really pop off the screen. So we worked with our production designer, our cinematographer, our costume designer, hair and makeup, everybody together, and we worked on a whole way in which through the whole film the colors change and then they go back again.
What worries me is Olivia Hutton's mental history, especially in light of the circumstances.
Why did you come and stand under my window?
Because it just makes me feel like I'm making sure you're okay.
And Rodrigo, how was for you to produce for the first time a movie directed by another producer?
That's a good question. Actually, I don't see that. I don't look at James as a producer only. I think he's an artist. The way he produces, the way people direct, and it's different. It's a different because we don't have this in Brazil too much. It's difficult for us as Brazilians know about a producer who also is who works brilliantly with the creative side, and this is something we discussed yesterday. Everyone is creative, but you need to use in your own work, and I look at him as a writer, also a producer, and as a director, because he knows how to direct. We know that he works with all the bests, and he writes for the best too, and he now is directing. This is a new. And I like to work with first-timers. It's good to work with first-time director too. It's really good.
You and Donald Trump.
When you released Hook, the movie, you said in an interview that you didn't have any interest in directing a movie. Yeah. Because Ang Lee directed the films you wrote. Right, yeah. So what made you change your mind?
Yeah. Honestly, I got fired from my job running a studio, so I was unemployed. Ang was busy, making bigger movies with bigger technology and a bigger vision in some ways. And it was a good opportunity, to have a middle-age crisis without buying a car or ruining my marriage. So, it was a good moment to do something like that, have my crisis, and really enjoy a new experience at my age, which is something I think was a real gift. Mm-hmm. How many of us have the opportunity to try something quite new, even though I've been around and I've worked with directors, but nobody ever asked me to work with actors or where to put the camera, To have a new experience at my age was really a gift.
And do you have another project in mind?
I'm trying, yeah. I had to put off a lot of writing for other producers and studios while I was doing this, and then of course the travel, to be coming back to a place like Rio de Janeiro, you don't say no, and also it's the home of the film. The film really, this is our producer, we should have it here. So these kinds of obligations, and I'm producing other movies even now. I have a lot of other films. But yes, I want to go back and direct again. It's a great gig. Don't let anybody tell you, like if they, how I suffer, it's a fantastic job. Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you so
very much for the
interview.
interview. Thank you.
Lovely. Great talking to you.